For those of you standing in the back of the room, if you'd like, you can move. Can hear you overflow. There, can you hear me better now? You can tell I don't do this very often. For those of you standing in the back of the room, there is overflow if you'd like to move there. And then we'll get started here in a few minutes.
Well, again, welcome everyone. It's just wonderful to see such a great turnout. I'm Fran, your cooperative's current chair of the board of directors. So at this time, I will call the meeting to order for the purpose of presenting our business reports, announcing our 2025 election results, and answering any of the questions that you might have. I now designate Sara McGrane from Fell Harbor Lawson as our parliamentarian and Krista Benjamin as our recording secretary. At this time, I'd like to introduce our board of directors, and I would ask them to please stand as your name is called. In District 1, we have Mark Ethan and Sam Valella. District 2, we have Rick Bradstad and Mike Tews. District 3, Shelley Peterson and myself. District 4, Joe Greenis and Angie Romaine. Also, we'd like to introduce the candidates for this election, and if you would also stand. District 2, Rick Bradstad and John Donner. District 4, Mark Evansteiner and Joe Greenis. Thank you for your interest. So I want to welcome our members who are able to be present today. This is the largest crowd that I think we have had since we've been in our building here. So thank you for coming. And also those who are attending virtually, thank you for tuning in to hear the business of your cooperative. I would also like to welcome our special guests and our business partners. We've got Amanda Seeger, Regional Vice President at National Rural Utilities Cooperative Finance Corporation. You may stand if you'd like. We've got Vicki Trees, Vice President at CoBank. David Wayne, Senior Vice President at Huntington Bank. David, thank you. Don't see him. And we are grateful for their partnerships and our ability to work with them. Thank you so much for taking the time to attend this annual meeting. Our theme this year is service-driven, and there is no better example of service to our members than the contributions of Tom Stewart and former Director Don Hall. Tom was a Connexus line worker for 33 years, and Don was a board director for 26 years. Both Tom and Don were dedicated to serving Connexus members and their colleagues. We are grateful for their many contributions and their friendships. Let's take a moment to honor them with a time of silence, please. Thank you. Now on to our agenda items. The cooperative bylaws state 50 members present in person or by another approved electronic means shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business at all meetings of the members. In determining a quorum at a meeting on a question submitted to a vote by ballot, members present in person or represented by mail vote shall be counted. Therefore, as reported by the independent tabulation firm of Survey and Ballot, with over 8,600 members voting, I declare a quorum for this annual meeting. We want to invite our virtual members to submit their questions regarding the cooperative reports through Facebook Messenger. And members present in person today, you have a yellow question card that was given to you in your packet as you came in. These will be collected after my remarks later in the program. So if you have a question, please write that down. We will combine like questions so that we can address as many questions as possible during the allotted time at the end of our meeting. I now welcome our Chief Financial Officer, Jan Paul Martinez, to present our 2024 financial report.
Thank you, Fran. Welcome, everyone. Pretty good crowd. We've been here 5 years. This is my fifth annual meeting, and we haven't seen such a nice crowd, so thank you for being here today. Like Fran said, I'm Jan Paul Martinez. I'm the CFO here at Connexus. So today I'll be providing a financial update and reporting on Connexus' strong financial position. So let me begin by speaking about growth. Connexus continues to experience an increase in residential and commercial services. In 2024, new services billed were slightly above 1,500, 10% higher than planned. Currently, we have over 147,000 active accounts, of which 91% are residential and 9% commercial. Not only we're growing in the number of services, we're also in the type of services such as rooftop solar and electric vehicles. As an industry, we are experiencing an increase in overall load growth and energy demand. We expect that to continue primarily due to electrification efforts and data centers. Let's look at our financials. In 2024, we had a net margins of $10.6 million. Electric sales were $253 million, slightly below prior year. 67% of our electric revenues were residential and 33% commercial. Connexus rates continue to be affordable. On average, our rates are 20% lower than our neighboring investor-owned utility and double digits lower than the average rates in Minnesota electric utilities as a whole. In 2024, we had no rate increase. Earlier this year, we implemented a general rate increase of 3%. This is significantly lower than the state and national averages. At Conexus, we work extremely hard to keep our rates as stable as possible while operating in a challenging environment of high inflation and elevated costs that we've seen in the past several years. Power costs for the year amounted to $171 million. 68% of our electric revenue was used to cover the cost of power. As an independent electric utility, now we have the flexibility to buy energy from the market, enter into energy futures contracts, and power purchase agreements. We continue to diversify our portfolio and have benefited from favorable market dynamics during the past 2 years. Since 2023, we have returned to members millions in power cost adjustment credits. In 2024 alone, we returned over $10 million in power cost adjustment to members as credits in your monthly bills. A true testament of competitive rates and affordability. We're focused on the health and strength of our balance sheet on both sides of the ledger, growing our assets and lowering our obligations, ultimately keeping a healthy equity balance. We ended 2024 with $494 million in assets and $226 million in equity. Utility plant is our largest asset category. During the past several years, we have made significant investments in our electric and technology infrastructure. These investments contribute to our strong system reliability. You will hear more about reliability during our CEO's report. Let me address working capital and liquidity. You probably have heard the phrase, cash is king. And I recently heard someone say, cash is not king, cash flow is. And I totally agree with that. Regarding cash flow and liquidity, we have secure lines of credit and available liquidity for over 120 days and over 30 days cash on hand. We use this as a tool to manage our working capital needs. So once a year, members receive capital credit distribution. We call it cashback. Members receive cashback based on their electric purchases. Our strong financial position and equity position allow us to return $7.6 million in cashback to members in 2024. Cashback credits are reflected on member accounts on their August electric bill. Be on the lookout for a credit later on this year. So each year, Conexus receives independent reviews from external firms. Conexus received a credit rating review from Fitch Ratings. Based on their review, they decided to upgrade Conexus rating from A- to A with a stable outlook. This is certainly great news for Conexus. We were thrilled to receive that credit upgrade, and no one was happier than me. In 2024, we conducted a competitive bid process for audit and tax services. The Conexus Board of Directors selected Bator to continue to audit the Conexus financial statements. I'm glad to report that the independent auditors issued a clean audit opinion. Now on to risk. Electric utilities like Conexus operate in an environment with inherent internal and external risk factors. As a result, we closely monitor, identify, and mitigate risks. We face and work to mitigate risks such as regulations, permitting delays, safety issues, cybersecurity threats, among others. During the past several years, the industry has dealt with supply chain issues. And that has been a significant risk factor with extended lead times and high material and equipment costs. And to that, And adding to that, the potential for additional price increases due to tariffs. We have been actively collaborating with our vendors, monitoring what seems to be an evolving tariff landscape, and to try to mitigate price and availability risks. In closing, Connexus is financially strong. We're well positioned for continued success and to continue to provide our members with affordable and reliable electric service. Thank you. Now our President and CEO, Burandt, will present the business report.
Thank you, Jan Paul. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see so many of you here today, including the students joining us. We moved this building in '97, and I'm going to declare unofficially this is an all-time record attendance at our annual meeting. So, thanks for being part of history. I'm Burandt. It's truly an honor to serve as president and CEO of the Electric Cooperative. For 46 years of my life, I've lived in a home powered by Connexus Energy, which some of you may remember as a NOCA Electric Cooperative. My parents were members of AEC, and they believed in the value of cooperative programs, participating in both dual fuel and off-peak water heating. These programs were the catalyst for my early interest in the energy sector. Today, my wife and I carry on the tradition by taking part in peak time rebate and solar-wise programs. Since this is my first annual meeting as CEO, I'd like to share a little about my background. I earned a bachelor's degree in energy management from Oregon State University, followed by an MBA from the University of St. Thomas. I've been part of Connexus for almost 26 years, starting as a business account representative, then managing business and community relations. Before becoming CEO, I served as Vice President of Power Supply and Business Development for 9 years. The theme for this year's meeting and the annual review newsletter is service-driven. I love this theme because it perfectly reflects who we are. Being service-driven means we focus on you, our members, and everything we do, from keeping your lights on to managing costs. Reliability is one of the most important ways we live out our service-driven mission. We continue to rank in the top 5% of electric utilities nationwide for reliability. The high reliability doesn't happen by accident. It takes careful planning and investment in our electric grid. In the picture is Dayton. We added a new substation to improve reliability. This helps by breaking up a large circuit into smaller sections, making it easier and faster to restore power during an outage. This substation went live last February. In Blaine, we improved reliability by converting back-lot overhead lines to underground for 400 homes. This underground conversion protects the lines from weather and wildlife, two of the biggest causes of outages. We will continue this type of work in neighborhoods across our service area in the years ahead. Vegetation was the culprit behind 40% of outages last year. That's why vegetation management is a major part of our reliability strategy. Our contractors routinely trim or remove trees near power lines on a 5 to 8 year rotation. You can find a map on our website showing where tree trimming is planned. We also do our best to notify members in advance by calling the primary phone number on file, which is why we ask you to confirm your contact information from time to time. We're also modernizing our grid with new technology. By the end of the year, we will have fully deployed automated devices that can quickly detect and isolate outages. This is a big step toward automated restorations, which will reduce both the frequency and length of outages. If you use our outage map on the Connexus website or mobile app, you'll soon see faster updates on known outages and crew response. Map updates every 5 minutes instead of 10. And if you sign up for outage alerts, you'll get quicker notifications about power restoration thanks to a system upgrade coming next month. Keeping electricity affordable is just as important as making it reliable. As our CFO, Jan Paul, highlighted earlier, we returned significant savings to members. Since our new power supply contract took effect in 2023, it has exceeded expectations. Over the past 26 months, we've returned to you an average of $1 million in power cost adjustment credits per month. Thanks to this, residential members paid 2% less in 2024 than in 2022. I'm going to say that again. You paid 2% less on a per kilowatt hour basis in 24 than you did in 2022, which is the last year on our previous power supply contract. We also have exciting news about clean energy. In December, we were awarded $170 million in new era grant funding, which will provide a 25% discount on a portfolio of wind, solar, hydro, and battery storage projects, equivalent to 40% of our total energy supply. These resources will help us meet Minnesota's requirement of 100% carbon-free by 2040. As part of this grant, we've already signed power purchase agreements for 10 megawatts of solar, which will directly power homes and businesses in Ramsey, St. Francis, and Becker. Additionally, a new 2.5 megawatt battery at the Martinez Heights substation will be energized next month, boosting that substation's capacity and supporting system reliability. Before I wrap up, I want to speak directly to the high school students here today. If you're interested in gaining a real-world work experience while completing your college education, consider applying for a summer internship at Connexus. Our internships are paid, and you'll work alongside experienced employees on meaningful projects. Our past interns have gained hands-on experience in engineering, design, GIS, power supply, member services, data services, and technology. You can find more information about internships on our career page. Finally, I want to thank you, our members, for your trust and partnership. It's a privilege to serve you and to lead a team that's so passionate about reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Connexus Director Shelley Peterson.
If you're wondering, I got the short straw, so that's why I'm up here. Good afternoon, everyone. As Brian stated, my name is Shelley Peterson, and I've had the honor of serving the Connexus Board for 7 years, and I represent District 3. I also represent Connexus on the Minnesota Rural Electric Association Board. MREA, as it's referred to, is a statewide organization that supports and advocates for Minnesota's 50 not-for-profit electric cooperatives. It's my pleasure today to introduce our guest speaker, CEO of MREA, Darrick. As a board member, I've seen firsthand Darrick in action. He's dedicated to the needs of Minnesota's electric cooperatives. He has a strong voice for our members, working to ensure our concerns are heard at every level. These issues can be complex, but he has a talent for communicating in a way that everyone understands. So today, Darrick will be sharing his insights on Minnesota's current energy policy, a topic that's true to all of us here. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Darrick Hall.
Thank you, Shelley. It's a pleasure to serve with you and have you on our board at MREA, and thank you, Brian. Exciting times for Connexus as its members, with Brian as the new CEO here, an excellent leader with a great combination of skills to continue to build this successful organization in the future. I am Darrick Moe, the CEO of the Minnesota Rural Electric Association. We're the statewide association that serves the 50 rural electric cooperatives. Collectively, about 85% of the land mass is served by co-ops across the state, and about a third of the population of the state is served by our members. We do many things for our member cooperatives, including working with them on energy policy, the focus of the few minutes that I'll have today. I graduated from the electrical engineering program at the University of Minnesota some time ago, studying how the electric power grid functions, and have spent a career in the field working to understand that very thing. And we stand at a critical crossroad. The North American electric grid, characterized as the most complex machine ever created, was identified by the National Academy of Sciences and Engineering as the single most important invention of the 20th century. That's not the century we're in now, it's the century that turned before. So I would say the 20th century brought us every important invention, pretty much everything between fire and TikTok came in the 20th century. So, and we stand to anticipating now that this invention will serve us even better in the coming century as we decarbonize the power grid and move even more of society's energy needs to the electrical system. And as somebody that has worked my whole career in that system, I look forward to it filling an even larger role for my grandchildren than it has for all of us. That is, if we can avoid breaking it. Our society is totally dependent on an ample, affordable electricity being ever present, whenever and wherever we need it. We spent 130 years piecing together electrical components across the country and getting them to operate in one complex integrated machine. An important thing to understand about that power system is that at every moment, it must be in an exact and delicate balance. The amount of electricity we draw from it collectively as a neighborhood, as Connexus, as the state of Minnesota, as the country, must exactly match the amount of electricity being produced at that moment. And if it does not, the system collapses. Everything goes dark, and restarting it is a costly and time-consuming endeavor. And how fast can such a collapse happen? Electricity moves at precisely the speed of light, even faster than the rule. Unlike water delivery systems, you can't position electricity strategically around the country in holding tanks and then dispatch it over minutes or hours as people need it. As new load is called for, as you flip switches, as you turn motors on, as new data centers light up, electricity needed must immediately respond and be placed on the grid at the same time to keep the whole thing operating. So what does that have to do with energy policy? The entities responsible for keeping the power grid functioning, entities like MISO and the North American Electric Reliability Council, are warning that the balanced portfolio of generation sources we have built over the last 130 years is changing too rapidly to be sure it will hold together reliably under all conditions we face today and in future years. The last couple of decades have seen rapid growth in wind and solar energy. These resources have been effectively integrated and provide affordable electricity in many conditions. Fortunately, we will see continued growth of the wind and solar industry and those energy sources on our power grid. That's a good thing. We must also have sources of electricity that we can control, that are available at night and when the wind isn't blowing. And energy policy is currently making it more difficult to build these sources of energy and is pushing existing generation sources to shut down sooner than previously planned. Those overseeing reliability, therefore, now warn that there are hours of the year when electricity consumption is at its heaviest, that we may not have enough generation to serve all of those needs. If that happens, power companies will either need to intentionally shut off some people's electricity or risk the entire network collapsing. Because if you don't keep electricity use in supply in constant balance, that is exactly what occurs. To be clear, I am not talking at Connexus's annual meeting about their plan for tomorrow. I'm not talking about Connexus at all. I'm talking about the industry as a whole. And I'm not talking about any particular day or moment. I'm talking about what we face over the next several years as an industry. In Minnesota, the legislature recently passed a law requiring all electricity used in the state be carbon-free by 2040, a law that Connexus has an excellent plan to comply with, by the way. The grid, however, was already rapidly transitioning to carbon-free resources. Connexus and other cooperatives have been rapidly building wind and solar and have continued aggressive plans to do more of the same. Building more of it is good. But there are real-life risks that policy pressures force the power grid into an unsustainable situation under some conditions. You can look at the generation mix at any particular moment. MISO, the Midwest Independent System Operator, provides this information real time. They are tasked with controlling the real-time generation and ensuring that when you flip a switch or turn on a load, there will be sufficient generation available immediately to respond. I encourage you to go to their website, download their app, take a look as you go through your day, your week, your months, at how much power is coming from which generation resources. You'll find this revealing, I think, and you'll probably find it to be less stress than fixating only on the stock market ticker. In some hours, wind is over 50% of the total. But there are also many hours in which the combination of wind and solar energy is only a few percentage points of the total. Natural gas, coal, and nuclear energy serve 70-80% or more of our needs in those hours. Not because wind and solar are available and just not on. They are used first whenever it's sunny and windy. In those hours, when it's supplying only a tiny portion of our needs, it's because the sun isn't shining and the wind isn't blowing. Those resources are simply unavailable. The notion that we can build a power grid and rely solely on wind and solar energy, supported by a little battery storage, is dangerous. Conexus is a national leader in deploying storage, and it will have a growing and important role. Storage helps fix the challenge I've talked about of producing and using electricity simultaneously. But it is not possible to build enough storage with the available technology to move to a grid with wind and solar supported by a little battery storage. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, consider the battery system you can install that Tesla sells and put in your garage. If you look at posted prices for those systems and calculate how much it would cost to install enough of those systems on the power grid to supply 3 days of energy, you'd come up with a total of $400 trillion. That's 4.5 times the gross planetary product. So to supply 3 days of storage, you need for the globe, you need 4.5 times what the globe can produce in a year. That's without any generation. So remember, storage doesn't actually generate electricity. It only stores electricity. Batteries are great, and innovations in this area will continue to be needed to allow storage to continue to do a better job in the long run of supplementing the power grid. But they cannot do the job by just adding that to wind and solar. And I've heard people respond, well, innovate. Carbon-free by 2040 is 15 years from now. Hoping for innovation, referencing innovation with an implied authority and optimism is more like Gnosticism than genuine faith. It's a claim to some hidden knowledge that will save us. But underpinning that claim is just plain fantasy. It's like unicorns saving us, or the Loch Ness Monster, perhaps, or finding Sasquatch. The reality is we must keep enough controllable generation online to balance renewable energy in a reliable way. We need to slow down the shutdown of fossil fuel in the meantime. And I tell you all of this to say about energy policy in Minnesota that we need to unleash the potential of nuclear energy to supplement these resources in the state. In 1994, the Minnesota legislature imposed a moratorium on building nuclear generation. Nuclear does not depend on the weather or the time of day. It is a reliable source available at all time, and it is carbon-free. With the new law requiring all electricity being carbon-free, it is inappropriate that this moratorium continue. Nuclear power currently provides half of the state's carbon-free electricity, but even if existing generators operate forever, which of course would be another fantasy, that share will diminish as consumption grows, as AI increases electricity use, and as the economy is further electrified. Nuclear energy is by far the safest source of electricity in existence, considering the entire fuel cycle and all impacts on humanity. It has bipartisan support across the country. Both the Biden and the Trump administration have been clear about the need for nuclear power to fuel tomorrow's energy needs. And spent fuel has been safely dealt with. All of the spent fuel the industry has ever created nationally could fit within inside one football stadium, and no human harm has ever been marked by storing the spent fuel. Zero. Nuclear power also uses less land than any other alternative, by far. So lifting the state's inappropriate moratorium on nuclear power is one of the biggest priorities that cooperatives have been working on at the legislature this session. We are leading a coalition of 37 different organizations above and beyond the co-ops, in addition to our 50 members, 37 other organizations formed solely for the purpose of accomplishing this task, including labor unions who recognize that nuclear energy would bring excellent career opportunities, including environmental groups, understanding what I've talked about the need to achieve a carbon-free future, and also one where sources of energy are available at all times of the day, and includes the state's utilities, trying to keep the lights on as we transition to this carbon-free environment. Lifting the moratorium would not mean building any particular plant. Building a plant would involve all the required permitting and public review. It would be demonstrating that the nuclear plant is the most affordable alternative available, as any plant needs to demonstrate before it is built. What lifting the moratorium would do is remove one thou shalt not currently in place, do only the policy. It would release Minnesota's utilities and our universities and labor unions, release them from bondage of a moratorium, and allow them to consider the vitally important carbon-free resource. Allow Minnesotans to participate in the nuclear renaissance that is currently gaining momentum across the world and across the rest of the country. I appreciate that Connexus has been working with us on this priority. Within the last couple of years, the North American Electric Reliability Council, which sets the standard to make the grid operating reliably, took the surprising step of including policy as one of the top 5 threats to the reliability of the power grid at this time. So we stand at a critical crossroad. Will legislators pass energy policies ensuring the grid remains viable while it picks up a bigger share of our economy and continues to decarbonize? Cooperatives are quickly decarbonizing the power grid and working to keep the electricity grid always available and affordable in the process. And working together on important policy matters, such as lifting the state's moratorium, is one great example of those efforts. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Darrick, for your report on energy policy facing us today. It's reality, folks. If you have any questions, just as a reminder, we'll be collecting those cards at the end of my remarks. So just a few ideas I'd like to share with you today regarding service. Whether you're a lifelong member or one of the high school students that are here today, I want to thank you for being part of Connexus Energy, your most powerful membership. At Connexus, service is at the heart of everything we do. It's who we are, it's how we operate, and it's how we show up for you, our members, every day. First and foremost, we're here to power your lives safely, reliably, and affordably. When you flip a switch, you expect that your lights will come on. And when you plug in your phones, you expect it to charge. That reliability doesn't happen by chance. It takes careful planning and constant improvement. As we work to improve reliability for our communities, safety comes first. Whether it's our line crews out in the field or our employees behind the scenes, we never cut corners when it comes to safety. because keeping our employees safe and your family safe matters more than anything. Tomorrow is National Line Worker Appreciation Day, and I want to take a moment to recognize the more than 40 line workers who are dedicated and working here at Connexus. These individuals work outdoors year-round, during the bitter cold, during stormy weather, and through the heat of the summer. They keep the lights on and our communities safe. We're incredibly grateful to have such a skilled and committed team of line workers serving our members every day. Please join me in showing our appreciation. Connexus is also your trusted source of energy information. The energy industry is evolving quickly, as you just heard, and it can be hard to keep up with. There's new technology, state mandates, and federal orders pushing towards 100% carbon-free energy by 2040. You can count on Connexus to help you navigate it, from renewable energy options to tips on managing your energy use and keeping bills affordable. Beyond providing power, we are also active participants in your communities. You'll see employees and board members at local events, schools, and service projects, not just as volunteers, but as your neighbors. Look for myself and fellow board directors at your high school scholarship ceremonies this spring. We enjoy attending these events to personally congratulate the graduating students of the class of 2025. And speaking of good news, it's almost time to award $1,000 attendance scholarships to 5 students here this evening. This is the final business report. Last year, 18 Connexus employees showed concern for community, another cooperative principle, by refreshing the landscaping at the Elk River Boys and Girls Club. They removed old vegetation, planted new shrubs, added edging and decorative rock, and highlighted the front bench with paver stones. To support the club's youth garden programs, they also built 2 planter boxes. The result of all this? A brighter, more welcoming entrance for everyone who walks through their doors. Now we support programs like Haven for Heroes in Anoka. Our employees pack 300 welcome bags filled with essential hygiene items for the veterans and 100 activity bags for the children living at the Haven for Homes facility. Why do we do this? Because strong communities make us all stronger. The spirit of service does not stop at the borders of our service territory. When disaster strikes, utilities across the country step up to help each other. It's called cooperation among cooperatives, and this principle guides how we live out our cooperative values. We experienced this firsthand last August when 13 utilities came to our aid after severe storms swept through our area. Then in October, some of our own crews spent 9 days traveling and working to restore power for a cooperative in South Carolina, whose members were impacted by Hurricane Helene. It's what cooperatives do, because when others need us, we show up. The energy landscape is changing quickly, but our mission remains the same: to deliver reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy with the same level of service and care that we have come to expect. Whether it's keeping your lights on, supporting your community, or being there for other cooperatives during tough times, service drives everything we do. Thank you for trusting Connexus to power your homes, your businesses, and your future. We are proud to serve you. Our 2024 reports are now complete. Thank you so much for your attention and for your engagement. Now we would love to hear from you. Before we begin, I want to introduce the Connexus Energy Executive Team. So please, team members, stand or wave wherever you are at. We have Raquel Berg, Vice President, Member in Sales. Tessa Hoganson, Vice President, Power Supply and Business Development. Mark Coughlin, Vice President, Information Technology.
He's in the overflow.
He's in the overflow. We didn't have a seat for him. Okay. Nick Lowline, Vice President, Electric Operations. Jean-Paul Martinez, Chief Financial Officer. And Jen Tyson, Vice President, Employee Services. She overflow also? They will be collecting your question cards and will be available after the meeting to visit and answer any other questions that you might have that we weren't able to address. So if you have a question now, please hold up your cards and they will collect them. Did we get them all? Thank you. Next, we are going to share with you a short video of how we strive to fulfill our mission and our core values. And then after that, our parliamentarian, Sara McGrane, will announce the official election and bylaw amendment results.
At Connexus Energy, we believe in the power of community, literally and figuratively. Since 1937, we've been more than just an energy provider. We've been a trusted partner for our members, employees, and the local community. Our mission is clear: to safely and reliably provide affordable electricity to our members while paving the way for a more sustainable future. As your most powerful membership, we're driven by service, not by profits. And we prove it every day by reinvesting in our community, our systems, and meaningful innovations. At the heart of Connexus Energy lie our 7 core values. These values aren't just words. They guide everything we do. We believe in offering exceptional service to our members and each other. Employee and public safety are at the forefront of our minds. We achieve great things by working across the utility industry with members, key stakeholders, and trade allies throughout our service territory. Accountability and trust empower autonomous, responsible action at all levels. Our creative thinking is key to sustainable value creation in a rapidly evolving, exciting industry. Honesty, courage, transparency, and trust are modeled by our leadership and reflected by our employees. Members, employees, everyone is treated with respect and appreciation for the differences that make Connexus and the world a better place. Connexus ranks among the top U.S. electric utilities for reliability, thanks in part to our most recently added 43rd substation, along with other ongoing maintenance and upgrade efforts to meet growing demand. Additionally, even with 70% of our over 9,600 miles of line underground, our diligence in annual vegetation management helps keep hundreds of miles of overhead lines clear in the rights-of-way. As an independent utility, we operate with the flexibility to strategically execute power supply contracts and demand management programs, delivering millions of dollars in power supply savings each year, helping to keep us cost competitive. Recently, Connexus was awarded a USDA grant to bring significant savings to members as we integrate wind, solar, hydro, and battery storage to meet the 100% carbon-free energy law by 2040. Cooperatives shine in the tough times. Through local storms or even hurricanes down south, we show up for each other nationwide. When the call comes, we respond. When we make the call, we know help is on the way. Employees are dedicated to keeping data safe, with rigorous testing validating the strength of our security measures and commitment to grid protection. Our vision is your most powerful membership, building a brighter, more connected future. One where energy solutions serve as the foundation for innovation, growth, and possibility. Connexus Energy is more than electricity. We're about powering what matters most in your life. Together, we inspire a future of progress, sustainability, and community. Here at Connexus, we're driven by service and powered by our values. As your most powerful membership, thank you for being a member and helping us build a brighter, more sustainable energy future. Experience the power of community-driven energy solutions and discover how your Connexus Energy membership brings reliable, affordable, and responsible energy to your life.
Board of Director election seats available this year. Both are 3-year terms and are in districts 2 and 4. The board also completed a comprehensive review of the bylaws, and most of it was to make sure that we aligned with state law because we hadn't done it in a very long time. And we also looked at best practices. And our ECA came out with new model bylaws, and we made sure that we were in compliance and doing what we should be doing to best serve you, the members. Omitted provisions were largely moved and incorporated in policy, and I already saw we have several questions on that, and so we'll certainly be happy to address that in that section. We also know that there were many questions regarding why the officers of the board's duties were moved or removed, and they were moved to policy instead because the language that was in there was stale. The language that was in the old bylaws, in fact, suggested that the treasurer kept the funds of Connexus, and certainly that is not the practice, nor good practice. And so those provisions were moved to policy and updated to reflect the current times. So in accordance with the cooperative's bylaws, voting is at large. Therefore, members were eligible to vote in both director districts. The bylaws state that the candidate receiving the most votes will be elected today to begin their term immediately. And in the case of a tie, it would be decided by a flip of the coin. Survey and Ballot Systems has sent their certified results of the election through a secure portal, and the results are provided as follows. First, there were 133,780 eligible voters. There were 5,888 paper ballots, 2,796 web ballots. There were 15 ballots that were deemed to be duplicates. So the final web ballots were 2,781. On site, we had 26 of you vote. So the total returns were 8,695. So the percentage of returns was 6.5. The 2 bylaw amendments passed by over 90%, and since I know those aren't as scintillating, I won't give you all the details, but I will get to the director elections. In District 2, Richard Brostedt, the incumbent, had 5,850 votes, with 68.2% for the decision. John Donner had 2,730 votes for 31.8% of the decision. In District 4, Joe Greenis had 5,308 votes for 63.2% and the decision. Mark Evansteiner had 3,096 votes for 36.8% of the decision. And we greatly want to thank everyone for running and your interest in the cooperative, and congratulations.
We have just a few questions. Question number 1, where does electricity come from? The Connexus gets. MISO is the answer. Some Midwest independent system operator. We didn't have a map of MISO, but MISO goes all the way from Manitoba down to New Orleans, Louisiana. It goes from the Dakotas, the Chicago marketplace. All the generation we get comes from that footprint. And question number 2, what is the expected impact of the Canadian tariffs? Less than 1% of the energy coming into MISO comes from Canada. So we're anticipating minimal impact from that. Question 2, is Connexus considering large future capital investments in generation or batteries to help address capacity needs? Or is it intended to rely on the market? It's a combination. You talked about New Era. We're making significant investments in solar, wind, hydro, battery storage, but we will be having some market participation serving our needs. And the last question, why are power grids not organized in east to west strips to better take advantage of solar? The economics of solar have changed. Back in 2014 and 2018, we built fixed tilt arrays. In 21 and again in 2025, those arrays are tracking systems that face east in the morning and they set facing west. So it's changed that solar production factor. That concludes the questions we received today. Thank you.
Okay, one of you had very specific questions on very particular provisions of the bylaw, so I'm not going to go through those, but it was basically changing ors and ands, and I'm happy to talk to you individually afterwards about why that was done. But there was a suggestion that in Article 3, Section 4, we changed it from voting at large to changing it by district, and that's not correct. We are still voting at large. And then there was a question about why are we reducing the number of directors. We're not actually reducing the number of directors. We're saying that in the future, if there were a decision, we could, but it's not reducing the number of directors now. And the reason we did that was to follow state statute, and state statute has the prescribed number, and we just matched the number to state statute. And then the question that I addressed a little bit in the intro remarks, in the old bylaws, it had the duties of each of the officers of the board, and they were very outdated. And we realized we don't want to go back to the numbers very often and ask for revisions. And knowing that times can change, we thought it was smarter to move those into policies. So we still have all of those officer provisions, and their duties are defined in policy, and they're very consistent with the exception of the treasurer no longer holds the funds. And you're more than welcome to request a copy of the policy, and we're happy to show you the revisions if anybody is interested or that's helpful. And I think that's actually it. So the one of you who have the specific questions, I'll stay up over afterwards to be happy to address those with you too. Thank you very much.
And as a reminder, our leadership team too will also be here if you have questions you would like to visit with them about. So now we're to the really fun part of the annual meeting, and that is announcing winners of the drawings that we had. Survey and Ballot Systems has drawn the voting incentive winners of the $25 bill credits and gift baskets. We previously announced 10 of the $25 bill credit winners through our Facebook page and applied the credit to their account. The remaining winners of the $25 bill credits are as follows: David Hochschild, James Larson, Robert Tosca, Sandra Croach, and David Raboyne. I apologize if I did not pronounce the names correctly. We also have winners of 3 gift baskets, and these winners will be notified and arrangements made to receive their prizes. The winners are the Lock Basket, which is a catch gift basket with Smart Fish Finder, is Denise Centera. The Get Grilling Basket with the Lever Lumen Electric Grill is Mary Alferts. And the Sweet Surprise Basket with Solarwise Honey is James Volhaber. And now, I know there's many, many people in this room in the overflow that are anxious to hear the announcements for the scholarships. If I can please just have all of our students who came today and applied for a scholarship to please stand. We would just love to see how many of you are here. Thank you so much. It's just wonderful to see you. We know that you are our future, so thank you for coming. I'd like to take the time to thank the Connexus Energy Foundation for donating the $5,000 to our scholarship giveaway. So we have 5 scholarship winners, $1,000 each. So if you would please stand while I call your name, and at the end of this meeting, if you would please come to the front and meet two of our staff members, Cassie and Stacy, right up here by the podium. Again, I apologize if I don't say your name right. I think I got the first names, but the last names might not be good. Taylor Tupa. Of course, some could be in the overflow too. Lily DeLuca. Olivia Boyum. Joseph Fort. And Tyler Vossen. Congratulations to these wonderful students, and we wish them well in the pursuit of their continued education. So congratulations and welcome to Joe and Rick as our newly elected directors. We look forward to serving together. Just a reminder, directors, please join me in the boardroom for our reorganization meeting after we adjourn. So this is the conclusion of our agenda. I'll entertain a motion and a second for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion carries and we are adjourned. Thank you again for attending our annual meetings, and I hope to see all of you and your neighbors next year. Please come.